The shocking investigation into the murder of a schoolgirl on Children's Day continues. The girl's ghost will reveal to the psychics who is responsible for her demise. Welcome to Psychic Investigations. There are only true and shocking stories here. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate unbelievable paranormal phenomena and resonant criminal cases. The psychics continue to investigate the murder of a 13-year-old schoolgirl on Children's Day. The 7th grader went to a disco and never returned home. She was found the following day near a stream on the outskirts of the village where she lived, strangled and partially undressed.
The investigators claim she wasn't raped.
And they assured the parents that they had found the murderer.
Such a little skinny kid. He would never overpower Veronica, never.
The suspect is a local schoolboy named Danilo. He's 14. According to his parents, he never interacted with Veronica, and he even goes to a different school. The locals don't believe he could be involved in the murder. The people think the police are simply trying to pin the crime on the boy, who comes from a poor and troubled family.
His father is in prison. Maybe they assumed it was him because of his family history.
We'd really like to know who the real killer is.
During the investigation, psychics Yana Pasinkova and Jana Shulakova, along with the project's detective Katerina Malichenko, arrived at the local train station to meet with Yaroslav, Veronica's boyfriend.
My sister forbade me to go out with Veronica.
Yaroslav's sister hated Veronica so much that she even raised her hand against her. I saw an image of Veronica surrounded by several teenagers. They were shouting at her, insulting her, and pushing her. She was a victim of bullying by her peers.
She would come home with a broken nose, scratches, and bruises.
Do you know that all her bullies were at the disco with Veronica?
They were all there.
Most of the teenagers claimed they didn't remember who the 7th grader went with or where she headed after the disco. Yet, strange enough, almost all of them mentioned that Veronica led an immoral lifestyle.
Veronica has sexual relationships with various partners her age.
Could the girl's death truly be the result of relentless bullying by her peers, which went beyond all bounds?
What do you blame yourself for?
She called me while I was going home and asked me to come back.
Did she call you from the disco?
Yes.
Why didn't you come back?
I don't know.
I sensed that Yaroslav doesn't only regret refusing to accompany Veronica home, as shortly before her death, he broke up with her.
But who would want to kill the 7th grader? And how did Veronica end up on the outskirts of the village?
As far as I get it, the place where the disco was is somewhere nearby.
Yes.
How far is it from there to the spot where your daughter's body was found?
Up to 2 kilometers approximately.
Veronica's parents still can't fathom how their daughter ended up near the stream at the other end of the village. After the disco, she was supposed to head home, which is in the opposite direction.
I sense she willingly went to the outskirts of the village from the disco. And she wasn't afraid because she was with someone she considered a close friend.
According to the interrogated teenagers who were at the disco, they saw Danilo among the attendees and claimed he went with Veronica after the disco. But according to her parents, Veronica and Danilo weren't friends, and they didn't even communicate.
I see Veronica. She's walking alongside another girl her age.
Yes. According to the witnesses, she was supposed to accompany Tanya, her classmate, home. And this Tanya lives very close to where it happened.
It's incredible. Does this mean that Veronica went to the other side of the village, where she was later found dead, to accompany her friend? Could Tanya be the last person to see Veronica alive then?
The cards told me that the secret of Veronica's murder lies in the place of her death.
The psychics and Veronica's family and friends head to the outskirts of the village, where her body was found. Concerned locals join them. On their way there, the clairvoyants call Veronica's friend Tanya and her mother.
Were you at the disco on the night of Veroníca's death?
No. Mom didn't allow me to go, so I stayed home.
But there are witnesses who saw you.
Who?
I saw her. She entered the disco with Veroníca. I saw her.
She never goes anywhere without me. She was home with me. Do you mean you testified that she wasn't there? It was apparent we wouldn't get the truth from Tanya and her mother. I decided to tune in to the spot where Veroníca's body was found.
Tanya and her mother stay behind, closely observing the clairvoyant's work from amidst the crowd.
I see her right here, lying face down. Her neck twisted and her arms spread out like this. This is the place where she was found.
Yes.
She was lying face down on the stone.
But she didn't die here. She was brought here later.
During the interrogation, Danilo indeed said that the murder happened about 20 to 30 meters from where they found the body, after which he allegedly dragged the unconscious girl to the stream. He wanted to splash water on her to revive her.
I took her under her arms and dragged her.
However, what he demonstrates at the reenactment doesn't match the results of the forensic examination. If he had dragged her like that, there would have been signs of dragging on her heels, which weren't there. Is he intentionally misleading the investigation to confuse the detectives? Or does he really not know what actually happened and is acting under pressure from the police officers?
Lyudmila, Danilo's mother, has also come to the site of Veroníca's death. When she heard that the clairvoyants were heading there, she hurried after them. Lyudmila is convinced her son is innocent, and he was simply forced to confess to the crime he didn't commit.
Someone is threatening him, but I can't figure out who.
I see shadows. There were two people here.
The murderer wasn't alone.
Was it a group murder? Two people brought Veroníca here. But who were they?
If Danilo isn't acting under pressure from the police and intentionally misleading the investigation, he could very well be one of the two people who carried the body. But who is the other person?
I decided to tune in to the moment of Veroníca's death and saw Danilo with another young man.
But who is he? And how did Veroníca end up with him and Danilo that night if, according to the witnesses, she was supposed to accompany her friend home?
I had a vision of Veroníca and her friend approaching a house. Strangely, Danilo was following behind. The girls said their goodbyes, and Veroníca walked back with Danilo.
The cards told me there was secret correspondence and love confessions. Veroníca actually spoke to Danilo.
I consulted IT specialists to access Veroníca's online profile, and I found her and Danilo's chat, in which he confessed his love. "I want to date you. I love you." And Veroníca's replied, "I don't even like you."
So, perhaps Danilo followed Veroníca from the disco because he wanted her attention.
He's not the murderer. His hand didn't commit the murder. But he's an accomplice, and he's covering up the real criminal.
I also told them he was covering someone up.
But who is that person? And why won't Danilo reveal his identity?
He's intimidated by someone who's not involved in the murder.
It could be someone from the police. As a rule, investigating a group murder of a child involves higher-level scrutiny. Meanwhile, accidental killings due to arguments are simpler to close. Perhaps the investigators wanted to avoid unnecessary complications.
What is that supposed to mean? If two people were involved in the murder, there should be evidence pointing to the second attacker. But where is it?
In such cases, investigators often eliminate any details that might lead to the second suspect, to erase the traces. Maybe that's why there's no other evidence in the case.
But who is Danilo trying to protect? And why did that person kill Veroníca? What was the motive behind this crime?
I feel both ashamed and horrified to say this, but Veroníca was indeed raped.
Hush, hush.
The detectives found a condom with a small amount of semen near Veroníca's body. However, it's impossible to determine whether it was used during sexual activity with her, as there are no conclusive findings in the case files.
It's unimaginable. A schoolgirl was killed, and instead of investigating, the police are covering up the evidence. What is that supposed to mean? Who raped and murdered the underage beauty?
I see horrifying images. I see someone turning savage, tearing her clothes as if he's trying to tear her body apart.
There are indeed scratches resembling nail marks on Veroníca's body. However, no biological traces from Veroníca were found under Danilo's nails. Does it mean someone else did this?
I sense that Veroníca resisted fiercely during the attack and the assailant strangled her. So she fainted.
We can find the murderer through the Black Mirror. He left a trace there.
Could it be a phone? After all, Veroníca had her phone with her. As it turned out, Veroníca's phone was found not far from the suspect's home. Danilo revealed its location during the interrogation.
Is this where you hid the phone?
Yes.
There's a number of violations in the video. Firstly, Danilo wiped the phone on his pants, potentially destroying any fingerprints. Furthermore, the detective handles the physical evidence without gloves, which contradicts standard procedures.
Despite this, the investigators still analyzed the fingerprints left on the phone and surprisingly found the prints left by Veroníca, Danilo, and an unidentified person.
According to the investigators, they didn't examine the unknown prints further, assuming they belonged to someone from the investigating team. I'm speechless. Probably it would be possible to find the murderer's prints on the phone unless the detectives had made a series of critical mistakes.
The girl's spirit mentioned the phone not only to indicate her assailant's fingerprints, but also because she had chatted with him. Veroníca received messages from her murderer, and it wasn't Danilo.
Wait, I have access to Veroníca's page. Let's check it.
The cards told me the real murderer is in a relationship with someone, and he's possibly married. Yet, he aggressively sought Veroníca's attention.
I accessed Veroníca's page and found a chat with a user with a strange nickname, Czar. Shortly before Veroníca's death, this person invited her for an evening walk.
Yaroslav, look, you might know these people. Who are they?
Hi, would you like to go out tonight? Hi, have we met? Yes, this is Volodymyr, Tanya's brother.
Did Veroníca reply?
On the same day, Veroníca replied, I'll tell Alisa. And he texted back, I just wanted to buy something to treat you. It turns out that Volodymyr, Tanya's brother, asked Veroníca out. And the witnesses say that Veroníca followed Tanya home on the night of her death. Volodymyr lives with his parents, his wife Alisa and their toddler and Tanya, not far from the place where Veroníca's body was found.
Is Alisa really Volodymyr's wife? Did Veroníca threaten the man to tell her that he'd been asking her out?
Oksana, Tanya, can we talk? Please come over. Do you understand what happened?
A chat.
Between your son and a 13-year-old girl.
Alisa knew about it. She saw it too. Volodymyr said she'd declined and refused to go with him.
I was shocked. Volodymyr has a wife and a child, yet he invited an underage schoolgirl, his sister's friend, for a date. Can you possibly comment on that?
How would I know? Am I supposed to check what they do online?
Wait, where was your son on the night of Veronika's murder.
He was at the disco.
What time did he come back home?
At around 3 or maybe 4.
What time did the girl die?
Between 1 and 2 a.m.
Perhaps Veronica met Volodymyr after seeing off her friend and returning with Danilo? After all, the man lives in the same house as his mother and sister.
If he returned home in the early morning, theoretically, he had enough time to commit the crime. Moreover, he could have gone unnoticed since it was nighttime.
But who knows at what time Volodymyr left the disco?
Do you happen to know who he was with?
Yes, he went there with Dennis.
I found Volodymyr's interrogation file among the case materials. He told the investigator that he was indeed at the disco with his friend Dennis. However, it turned out that his friend had poor recollection of the events due to heavy alcohol intoxication. It's strange, but the detectives didn't further verify Volodymyr's alibi, and it can't be confirmed by his friend, who literally blacked out that night.
Where is Volodymyr now?
He left.
It turned out that after the girl's death, he and his family moved to a neighboring village where his wife comes from.
We needed to talk to this man at all costs, so we agreed to pay him a visit the following day.
The next morning, Katerina Malichenko and Veronika's parents go to see the lawyer to pass on everything that the psychics sensed. Meanwhile, the clairvoyants head to talk to Volodymyr.
Can we have you for a word?
Are you Volodymyr?
Yes,
And I'm Elisa, his wife.
Did you know Veronica?
I did.
She was your sister's friend, right?
Yes,
What was your attitude to her?
It was normal.
she used to come to my place, and they played. Everything was fine, and I didn't mind.
It's odd, but during the interrogation with the investigator, Volodymyr gave different testimony.
Veronica always wore bright, provocative clothes, drank alcohol, smoked, and led an immoral lifestyle. I had no relationship with her, and I didn't allow my sister to associate with her.
Did you find Veronica attractive as a woman?
No, I'm not interested in underage girls. I just know the consequences.
Then, if you weren't interested in Veronica, why did you text her to ask her out?
I simply texted her.
Did you see her on June Fern?
I did, at the disco.
Did you see her somewhere else?
No, I told you I didn't see her, period.
Yet again, it turns out Volodymyr is not telling the truth.
I managed to obtain footage from the surveillance cameras of a store not far from the disco. Here it is. 9:46 p.m. Volodymyr meets with Veronica and Yaroslav. They talk and then enter the store.
Well, okay, I met her. All right.
Something strange is happening to your memory. I sensed that Veronica encountered her assailant on the way after seeing off her friend. She realized that he could help her reconcile with the boy she loved.
As it turns out, the young man the psychics are speaking to is a close friend of Yaroslav, Veronica's boyfriend. Could he really be involved in her death? And why is the evidence he's giving so contradictory?
If you're innocent, then why did the police interrogate you?
Look, here's how it was. They called my sister first.
They claimed she was at the disco, but she wasn't there.
You're lying again.
I saw your sister, and others saw her, too.
Stop lying, will you?
Are you calling me a liar? Do you want me to bring other people?
Give me a break, or my reflex is going to kick in.
Could Volodymyr really harm the girl?
Did you see Veronica after midnight that night?
No.
The cards told me he lied again. Plus, he was behaving very arrogantly.
Suddenly, I felt someone touch my back. I saw Veronica's spirit. She's crying. She says, "Stop it. I want peace. I don't want you to keep talking about what they did to me. She says, I just want my parents to bring me my seashells. Dad keeps them. I didn't understand what was going on, but I couldn't refuse. I had to fulfill her last request.
Nadia and Dimitro are waiting for the psychics at the house of their daughter's father.
We went to the seaside every summer, and she loved collecting seashells. This year, I went to the same place where we last vacationed with her. I picked up those shells, crying bitterly. I was sobbing.
It was heartbreaking to see Veroníca's parents.
Please be strong. Take these seashells to Veroníca's grave. She's waiting for you there.
Yes. All right.
We hope that thanks to the psychics, the police will reopen the investigation and hold all those involved in the murder accountable. If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more impressive investigations are coming up.